Coming up, Pittsburgh State's president is stepping down, but he's not calling it retirement. And Joplin City Council approves contracts for a street widening project. Also, a task force in Missouri focuses on women's issues in the workforce.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Zach Dodge, and better not forget the sunscreen today because it's supposed to be a sunny one, isn't it, Michael?
Little bit warmer too,
Yeah.
but still, at the same point, Zach, we're a far cry from seeing 90, so it's not too bad at all. And I thought yesterday turned out to be actually delightful. Live look over 7th and Rangeline, 67 degrees is where we stand right now, so very similar to where we were at this same point in time yesterday. We only have 170 on the board, that's in Chanute, but a whole bunch of mid to high 60s, 66 in Carthage, 68 in Miami, and 69 right now in Pittsburgh and in Fort Scott. See the Skywatch Storm Tracker, no clouds. Looks like the sweeping radar is being a little finicky because you see that right there in between Chanute and Independence and then just on the north side of Chanute. But if we erase the sweeping radars, a couple raindrops hanging out there just because of the humidity. But also, too, our flood warnings have greatly decreased. The verdigris, thing of the past, it expired. Nice. Now we're down to the Neosho, simply on the Oklahoma state line, down from Miami and in Commerce. So we let it expire throughout Labette County. The one that is still persistent, though, let's make that plural. That's the Osage, the Little Osage, and the Marmonton. Those have not budged, and those will run up until Wednesday. Now, as far as the contiguous 48, as we like to call it, you'll notice the ridge of the jet stream here. While it was just about over Wyoming yesterday, it has progressed just a little bit toward North Dakota. But at the same point in time, it's still going to be much warmer up to the north than what it is for us. And that's still because we've got a nice little northeasterly breeze coming in. So we'll go high 80s, not too bad at all. And like Zach said, do not forget that sunscreen because it is going to be an extremely clear and sunny day. All the precipitation is going to stay down on the far right-hand corner of your screen to the southeastern portion of the U.S. And really, we don't have to even worry about those afternoon and early evening raindrops that, usually this time of year, that instability will produce because of the heat. Simply put, Zach, because we're not going to heat up that much. Next time we see a 90 on the board is Thursday. Yeah, we're looking at a little bit of a steamy weekend, and then look, enjoy the middle of the week. Don't pay attention to the far right-hand side.
Yeah,
we'll just
live in the present. We'll pretend Monday's not there.
Right.
There you go.
Right. We'll get there later. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Pittsburgh State President Steve Scott announces he will step down from his position in June of next year. Scott has worked at PSU for the past 3 decades, including as president since 2009. In a press release, Scott says he is not retiring, telling the Kansas Board of Regents he's keeping his future options open. He does plan to stay in Pittsburgh and participate at university events. The Joplin City Council finalized a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and approved another one on first reading. Earlier this month, the council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They also approved on first reading a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project.
Some of those valleys were raising up 15 feet. So we're doing some spatial monitoring in the materials testing, make sure there's no settlement taking place over time.
That $520,000 is part of the overall $8.6 million. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, it will have to be approved again on second and third readings. A Missouri nonprofit is creating a task force to better understand issues surrounding women's participation in the workforce. The organization, called United We, will host town halls throughout the state until October. The first one was scheduled to be in Joplin, but is now virtual due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area. United We's president and CEO says they're hosting these town halls all throughout Missouri to make sure all women in the state could be represented.
It'll be a report that's for all Missourians to read and to educate themselves on here's what Missouri women are saying. It will also be a tool to educate policymakers, to educate them on, here's what we heard from Missouri women, and here are some potential solutions.
The town hall will take place virtually today, July 20th, and is open to all Missouri women. If interested, you can RSVP at unitedwe.org. The link will also be on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. Police found he had an arrest warrant out of Crawford County for a bond violation on an original charge of domestic battery. They are holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The victim in the case was later released from the hospital after receiving treatment. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Rangeline. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. The pandemic changed home and work life for nearly everyone, but first responders were affected more than most. We spoke with officials at Joplin's Metro Emergency Transport System, or METS, to see just how their daily life is different. One of the biggest changes they've seen is they're getting more calls, especially from people with flu-like symptoms concerned it could be COVID-19. METS also instituted more protocols for EMTs when they're out in the field.
PPE is always a big thing, so much more cautious with that whenever those symptoms are present. Some of the treatments that we would normally administer, we're kind of holding back on to minimize aerosolization.
MET says they do not administer COVID tests, but do refer patients to area hospitals that will. New COVID-19 cases continue in southwest Missouri as health officials continue door-to-door efforts. A reporter with the Kansas City Star recently followed community health advocates in Springfield. They were going door-to-door encouraging COVID vaccinations. The advocates would tell them of an upcoming clinic, hand a door tag to the resident, and ask a handful of questions, according to the reporter. Questions included, do you want information about the clinic? Do you know someone who does? And do you have any questions about other clinics or the vaccines? The reporter says the effort they saw was non-confrontational, and the officials always took no for an answer. Governor Parson has raised concerns about a door-to-door situation. He joined Republicans worried about the outreach could be heavy-handed. It's 5:07.
All right, Zach, this is pretty interesting here. We're going to have temperatures that are going to be up into the high 80s today. And then we'll roll high 80s next 2 days, and then we'll get up to the 90s. But two things I want to point out here. Look at the upper plains this afternoon in Big Sky Country. 10 degrees hotter than us. And so that's where that heat is going to be trapped up to the far north. That's going to be sweltering for them. And then this is interesting as well. When we get to Thursday, look at all the thunderstorm activity that takes place throughout the south and the southeastern portion of the United States. Yet we're going to get out unscathed. So that's actually good news for all our rivers. And once again, all that heat stays up to the north. And now eventually we'll see the 90s, but it actually won't be until about Thursday, Friday, and then we heat up into the weekend.
Thanks, Michael. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News.
Delta variant fears is causing a ripple effect across the nation. I'm Alex Hogan in New York. More on this coming up.
Plus, we hear from Missouri Southern's Zach Parrish about his shot to be a professional baseball player. And health experts say protecting children who can't get vaccinated means people who can need to roll up their sleeves. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
There's an easy.
Joplin Outlaws in the final week of the regular season, and all of those remaining games happen to be on the road. We will start with last night's affair against the Chillicothe Mudcats, and it was a marathon. The Mudcats outlast the Outlaws, final score 3-2 in 13 innings. Former Webb City Cardinal and current Missouri Southern Lion Cale McAllister throws 6 shutout innings in the start for Joplin. Missouri Southern's Zach Parrish is about to get his shot to be a professional baseball player. We caught up with Parrish to talk about a roller coaster week that all culminated with a free agent contract with the Texas Rangers.
A lot has changed for Zach Parrish in the last week.
5 days ago, I kind of announced that I was just going to step away from baseball and kind of move on with the next chapter of my life.
20 rounds of the MLB draft finished up last Tuesday without Parrish receiving the call.
It was a little discouraging at times. I mean, the third day rolled around and, you're expecting something at least, even a phone call saying, hey, we got you on our radar. We're thinking about taking you.
But it all changed on Sunday morning with the Missouri Southern standout agreeing to a free agent contract with the Texas Rangers.
Free agency deal kind of popped up at the last second, and it was like, yeah, I got to do this. All I needed was a chance, and I'm very thankful that I'm getting him.
He's definitely deserving, and we're very excited as a program, very excited for Zach, and so we're anxious to see him get started.
He was the National Pitcher of the Year this season and set a new Division II career strikeouts record. But what he did on the field was a product of how he approached the game outside the lines.
I mean, after a start here, he goes to the weight room, the opposing bus is leaving, and he's out there working on the football field with our strength and conditioning coach, getting ready for his next start. And so just an animal as far as work ethic goes, and definitely left his mark.
It's that work ethic and competitive spirit Parrish will take with him to Texas, hoping to one day get his shot at the biggest stage in baseball.
The Rangers are definitely getting a competitor. I mean, I love nothing but competition. I strive for competition. If someone wants to challenge me, I'm going to take it up and put my best foot forward, so they're going to get a winner as well.
He'll represent himself well. He'll represent our school well, and Zach's a great pitcher, and I really think he'll do well.
If it works out, it works out. If not, I at least gave it my best shot.
Parrish heading to Arlington today to sign his contract and find out where and what level he'll begin his professional baseball journey. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, an increase in positive COVID cases.
We're just days away from the Olympic opening ceremony, and as more COVID-19 cases are reported, worries are mounting. I'm Amy Kellogg in Florence, and I'll have the story coming up.
And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just a little past 5:17, leaving us just a little short of an hour as far as sunrise over Joplin. It'll be at 6:14 on this Tuesday, July the 20th. Current conditions as we sit over 7th and Rangeline right now, 67 degrees with a little northeasterly breeze. We'll dive into the wind here in just a little bit, but you can tell where all the arrows are coming from. Chanute's still our lone 70 on the board. Everybody else sitting mid to high 60s. Let's go 66 in the Osho. 68 in Miami, and pair of 69s up in Fort Scott and Nevada. See just a little green popping up there on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. That's mainly the old sweeping radar. Don't have to worry about anything coming down. But let's talk about our flood warnings that we still have existing, including the Neosho River down in the Miami Commerce area, lasting until tonight, 10:18. Arbitrary time, but that's all right. Just know that it's still about 4.5 feet above flood stage. Did lift it through Lebec County, though. That's a good thing. I have not been able to lift anything as far as the Osage, the Little Osage, and the Marmonton goes, as those run all the way until tomorrow evening. Contiguous 48, I tell you what, they're baking right up here. You look at Big Sky in the upper plains, right underneath the ridge of the jet stream right there. That is abnormally warm for them, even though we're talking about July. That's hot for them. And the nice thing is they trapped in the heat. We don't have to put up with it that much. And a lot of that is in part to having a little northeasterly breeze. And even though we see those calm readings right there, it is nice to kind of walk out and get that shifting from the north and feels very relaxing. Our weather trend for today, we're going to go high 80s, so just a skosh warmer than what we had yesterday. But those random raindrops that came down yesterday had trace amounts throughout southwest Missouri. Those are really a thing of the past for the next several days. We're going to stay extremely on the dry side. All that rain stays down to the southeast. Now, we do see the 90s, and yeah, we got look at this. We got a nice little heat up there headed our way, so let's enjoy the next several days at least. KOAM News Now Facebook page and morning Insta poll. People rolling up their sleeves as the COVID-19 vaccination rate slows down. Experts say the Delta variant spreading so rapidly, people who are not vaccinated are likely to get it. Britt Conway has the story. For kids who are under 12 who cannot get vaccinated, doctors say protecting them, well, that's on us.
It's the worst feeling you could ever have.
Her name is Deborah Wells. She's in a Florida hospital with COVID-19.
No taste, no smell, no nothing. Couldn't eat, and I could barely sleep.
New COVID-19 cases are going up in every state. The 90-day National Public Health Emergency Declaration that was set to expire today has been extended as the vaccination plea continues from doctors.
Please get vaccinated.
And patients.
Get vaccinated as soon as possible.
But millions of Americans aren't listening. The CDC says the age group with the lowest vaccination rate is kids 12 to 15. Only about a quarter are fully vaccinated. Many health workers and politicians are blaming rampant misinformation. For kids under 12, vaccines are still a work in progress. Pfizer and Moderna are still doing clinical trials.
Ready? Yeah.
Pfizer says data for kids 5 to 11 could come sometime in September. Moderna hasn't given a potential date. In the meantime, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends all students older than 2 years and all school staff should wear face masks at school. And for those who can get vaccinated,
they depend on us being vaccinated to protect them from the spread of the virus. We are their shields.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Our question for you, should schools require students to wear masks for the upcoming school year? Let us know by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or the KOAM News Now Facebook page.
Topping Health Watch this morning, COVID-19 cases are rising amid the Delta variant, and officials are concerned this may hinder economic recovery efforts. Alex Hogan has more from New York.
Fears of a COVID-19 surge being felt across the nation. For the fourth consecutive day, new cases rising in all 50 states, a feat not seen since the early months of the pandemic. Infection rates are also spiking in states with low vaccination rates. An average of 530,000 daily vaccinations were administered last week, a drop from more than 3 million per day back in April.
This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And our biggest concern is that we are going to continue to see preventable cases, hospitalizations, and sadly deaths among the unvaccinated.
Worries of a potential surge has also hit Wall Street, the Dow plunging hundreds of points as investors fear recovery efforts will be slowed down if COVID-19 cases continue to rise. The president expressing concern if Americans don't receive the jab.
It doesn't have to hold our economy back any longer. But the only way we put it behind us is if more Americans get vaccinated.
Meanwhile, the American Academy of Pediatrics releasing new guidance calling on all school districts to implement mask wearing for everyone over 2 years old. However, the recommendation is different from what the CDC is saying, which advises that fully vaccinated students and staff do not need to wear a mask in class.
Los Angeles County reimposed their indoor mask mandate over the weekend following a rise in COVID-19 cases. New research may help doctors find the best treatment for patients with mild traumatic brain injuries. A study in JAMA Neurology suggests specific features on a CT scan can help predict how severe the outcomes will be for those who suffer a TBI, including concussions. Researchers found 3 distinct patterns indicating different levels of damage. Prescriptions for children declined steeply during the pandemic. Researchers from the University of Michigan found antibiotics had the biggest drop-off at 56%, But there was also a decrease in prescriptions for medicine that treat chronic conditions, including ADHD and asthma. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Currently working on an open involving the Blue Oyster Cult with Liam Mandelbaum, hoping he gets that done before our next Something to Talk About. And a 7-day forecast is going to bring us plenty of sunshine and temperatures up into the high 80s today. Now, eventually it gets a little steamy there as we head into the weekend, so let's take advantage of a couple of days of below normal temperatures, and we'll be right back after this.
Finally, there's
Coming up, Pittsburgh State's president is stepping down, but he's not calling it retirement. And Joplin City Council approves contracts for a street widening project. Also, a task force in Missouri focuses on women's issues in the workforce.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. And we're going to go ahead and go straight to Michael Hayslip with our look at the forecast.
44 minutes before sunrise, Zach.
Yep.
It's going to be another delightful day. Were you good with yesterday's temperatures?
Yes, I was. It was
right
really
on
nice.
par with yesterday. Maybe
Very
a couple degrees warmer, but we're not going to be staring 90s in the face until we get to the weekend.
Right.
All right, live look over 7th and Rangeline. Like I said, sunrise at 6:14. As far as what we'd have for our daily almanac on this July the 20th, look at that, 1954, finally not holding a record. Actually, it wasn't too long ago. It was just 15 years ago that we got up to 104 on this day. Not gonna lie to you, I was working at this right here at this same station. I do not remember that day. Now, granted, I was doing weather then, but it doesn't ring a bell. That's all I was saying. Currently, we sit at 67 degrees in Joplin. Humidity at 97%, but it certainly doesn't feel too bad with our temperatures ranging in the mid to high 60s, 170 still on the board, and that would be in Chanute. Skywatch Storm Tracker clean as can be. Don't even have to fight that cloud cover that we had to just yesterday. We do have flood warning there for both the Neosho, the Marmonton, the Osage, the Little Osage. So at least we've been able to back off of our flood warnings for our rivers just a little bit, but they do still persist. Plenty of sunshine today. Wind is going to come in from the northeast, and that's what keeps us not cool, but very mild compared to what they're going to have up to the north of it. In the north of us, they're going to bake today. We're not too bad at all. Now, one thing that is going to change here by the time we get to the 7-day forecast, Thursday and Friday, that's normal July temperature. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Zach and I are avoiding right now. We're not talking about it. It's payback. That's what that is.
We are not on speaking terms with Saturday,
right.
Sunday, Monday.
No, I am all consumed right now with Tuesday and Wednesday being in the 80s.
Right.
Perfect.
Just
perfect July
got
temperatures.
The blinders on there, but that works.
You're just gonna rue the day when they start talking about Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Right.
Oh, I can just hear it coming when I go to the grocery store.
Yeah. For sure. But
which, by the way, I love talking to everybody when I go to the grocery store. Don't get me wrong. I love talking to all of you when I'm at the grocery store. It's just that I know what I'm going to hear about Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
I don't envy you in that regard.
Michael, it's too hot.
It's too hot. Why are you doing this to us?
In the words of a wise woman, Michael. I'm like, I know.
Well, thank you very much, Michael.
You're welcome very much, sir.
Pittsburgh State University's president, Steve Scott, announces he will step down from his position in June of next year. Scott has worked at PSU for the past 3 decades, including as president since 2009. In a press release, Scott says he is not retiring, telling the Kansas Board of Regents he's keeping his future options open. He does plan to stay in Pittsburgh and participate at university events. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Rangeline. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. Police found he had an arrest warrant out of Crawford County for a bond violation on an original charge of domestic battery. They're holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The victim in the case was later released from the hospital after receiving treatment. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says the state is suing the U.S. Department of Interior over a dispute concerning coal mining on tribal reservations. The U.S. Department of the Interior notified the state earlier this year it planned to strip Oklahoma of its jurisdiction to regulate surface coal mining within the Muskogee Nation Reservation. Stitt claims the move is federal overreach. The Joplin City Council finalized a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and approved another one on first reading. Earlier this month, the council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They're also approving a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project.
Some of those valleys were raising up 15 feet. So we're doing some spatial monitoring in the materials testing, make sure there's no settlement taking place over time.
That $520,000 is part of the $8.6 million. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, it will have to be approved again on second and third readings. A Missouri nonprofit is creating a task force to better understand issues surrounding women's participation in the workforce. The organization, called United We, will host town halls throughout the state until October. The first one was scheduled to be in Joplin today, but is now virtual due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area. United We's president and CEO says they're hosting these town halls all throughout Missouri to make sure all women in the state can be represented.
It'll be a report that's for all Missourians to read and to educate themselves on, here's what Missouri women are saying. It will also be a tool to educate policymakers, to educate them on, here's what we heard from Missouri women, and here are some potential solutions.
The town hall will take place virtually today, July 20th, and is open to all Missouri women. If you're interested, you can RSVP at unitedwe.org. That link will also be on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at some of our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, four-legged surfers.
Some of the most athletic canines from across the country face off in a surf and agility competition. I'm Anthony Pura with more on the contestants looking to be top dog.
Plus, just 4 days to go until the Olympic Games open in Japan. We'll have the latest as a U.S. gymnast and tennis player have tested positive for coronavirus. But first, it's 5:37.
I'm not making light of the coronavirus aspect of it, but I do want to ask you a quick question, Zach. The surfing dogs, they're not part of the Olympics?
I mean, it would be amazing if they were. That would be just kind of perfect, and my mind would be blown just a little bit.
So then the question would be, would you rather have your pet win the Westminster Dog Show, or would you rather have your pet win a gold medal?
Oh, the gold medal of the Olympics, for sure. Definitely.
Does the dog represent the country in which it lives, or does the dog represent the country in which its breed originates?
In which it lives, yeah.
See how good he is, folks? He's just got
These are pretty easy questions, though, actually. And now I feel like I've given you a personal challenge.
World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, after a year-long delay, the Olympics are almost underway. But as the games get closer, officials face an increase in positive COVID-19 cases among athletes. Amy Kellogg has the latest.
With just 4 days to go until opening ceremonies in Japan, Olympic athletes are already testing positive for the coronavirus. But health expert and leading advisor for the Games, Brian McCloskey, says this was expected.
The numbers we're seeing are actually extremely low. They're probably lower than we expected to see, if anything.
At least 12 new cases connected with the Games have been announced since Sunday, including an alternate member of the women's U.S. gymnastics team. The team is screened daily for the virus and has only left their hotel for training since arrival last week. Meanwhile, U.S. tennis player Coco Gauff revealing she tested positive before leaving for Tokyo, while other athletes from around the world have tested positive upon arrival or after entering the athletes' village bubble.
It's how quickly we identify them, how quickly the cases are taken away, quarantined and treated and looked after, and how quickly the contacts are identified and put into isolation.
Critics have argued that the Games should never have gone on during a pandemic, with many citizens in Tokyo concerned they would become a super spreader event. But Olympic officials say safety measures in place inside the Olympic Village are doing their part to reduce this risk.
And the longer you stay in the village, the less likely it is that a test will become positive because we're filtering people out at every stage.
Coronavirus isn't the only threat to the athletes in public. A heat stroke alert has been issued in Tokyo this week, which could end up making this the hottest Olympic Games in decades. And with just days to go until the Olympic Games, some athletes are turning attention to the cardboard beds. Tokyo 2020 says the cardboard frames used inside the Olympic Village are meant to promote recycled materials, despite some media reports and athletes suggesting they're used to dissuade intimacy among athletes. American runner Paul Camilo tweeted photos of the bed saying they can withstand the weight of a single person's to avoid situations beyond sports. Another athlete, Irish gymnast Rise, wow, I can't pronounce that one, I apologize. I'll just butcher. Cool, thank you. He tweeted a video of himself jumping on the beds. That's kind of amazing. Tokyo 2020 says the beds are promoting the use of recycled material and will be turned into paper after the Games. A Tokyo court sentences an American father and son accused of helping Nissan's former chairman escape to Lebanon while he was awaiting trial in Japan. Michael Taylor was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and his son was sentenced to 1 year and 8 months on Monday for their role in helping Carlos Ghosn escape in December of 2019. Ghosn hid in a box and was flown on a private jet from Turkey to Lebanon. The former head of Nissan was arrested in 2018 on financial misconduct charges. He says he is innocent. The Taylors did not fight the charges against them. Lebanon does not have an extradition treaty with Japan. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Now let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
A little neglectful of me with everything going on. I had completely forgotten about that story, Zach, because that was truly amazing when all of a sudden he disappeared and found out he'd been smuggled out in a box. All right, on the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, our question, should schools require students to wear masks for the upcoming school year? Pretty tight race. Right now, 46% say yes for all students. 40% say no requirement. 14% say for unvaccinated students. Make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The world's richest man is slated to leave the planet this morning. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos will ride an unpiloted rocket to the edge of space along with his brother and 2 others. They're scheduled to blast off from a launch pad in West Texas at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. They're holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Range Line. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. The Joplin City Council finalized a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and approved another one on first reading. Earlier this month, Council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They also approved on first reading a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, it will have to be approved again on second and third readings. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
I can say this since I do consider the state home. It's probably the only thing that West Texas is good for. Let's speak. Yo, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
That's bad.
Hey, Slip. Well, I mean, there's a Buddy Holly statue out in Lubbock.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know what else is out in West Texas?
No.
There's a Buddy Holly statue in Lubbock. Temperatures right now in the high 60s, whole lot of sunshine today, and what I would almost refer to as mild temperatures for this time of year. So we're going to be in the mid to high 80s. Now, eventually, we've got a heat wave on the way for the weekend, so let's get outside and enjoy days that are going to be warm but not hot and not humid either. All right, so that whole thing about surfing dogs, all right, we're going to see if Zach can keep it together, give us an intro, and then I'm going to make him tag it as well. It'll be worth sticking around for. We're doing that next.
The battle for top dog is on. Some surfing dogs took to the waves of Southern California for the 24th annual Purina Pro Plan Incredible Dog Challenger and Surf Competition. Anthony Pura introduces us to the pets that were itching to catch the big one.
From hot dogging to wiping out, some of the most talented four-legged surfers and their trainers took the waves in Southern California for the Purina Surf Dog event. Alicia Nelson says her dog Gidget was born for this.
It's a joy to have with your dog, you know, and I think many people will relate to that because I was a competitive person myself in sports, so I wanted to do something with a dog. And that's where we get our relationship.
The dogs are judged on 4 categories: the length of the ride, the size of the wave, confidence, and of course, style.
We saw one of the dogs going, turning around and facing the other way and then turning right back around. And we saw a couple floaters out there by some of the dogs, so we're adding that to the style points.
The surf competition is part of the Incredible Dog Challenge, put on to bring people and pets closer together.
We also have dogs competing in freestyle flying discs, we have agility, weave pole racing, and everyone's favorite, diving dog.
For Ryan Rustin and his dog Sugar, it's all about celebrating the bond between man and man's best friend.
It's so cool to do my best thing with her. We love surfing together.
A group of junior lifeguards cheered on the surfing dogs, celebrating Gidget for winning in the small dog category, then Sugar for taking first among the large dogs. Win or lose, it's a way to give all the dogs their day and for their humans to share that moment with them. In Huntington Beach, Anthony Pura, CBS News.
Terrified.
Yeah.
When they were holding him up like that. Dog was fine on the surfboard, but then you get a whole bunch of humans hoisting you up, and the dog was like, no, people.
This is not good. You have any dogs, Michael?
I take care of quite a few.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've got, a
healer,
we got a terrier, we got a labradoodle, yeah, we got...
Nice.
That's how the broken foot came about. Well, that's not how the broken foot came about. Because I don't want to blame, I'm not blaming any of the dogs. It was just me getting old. I just happened to be in the midst of, on a trek with a dog
For sure.
when it so happened.
All right. So
How about you?
we have 4 dogs, my wife and I do.
Oh, you and I on the same page.
Yeah. And I was trying to think of what, like, sport. Well, there's one of them who I know would probably win whatever competition it is where they measure the distance you can jump because he's a jumper.
They have those.
Super hyperactive.
Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the dog competitions after that. There's one that I do my best to help take care of. Bird chasing.
Yeah.
My dog. Yeah.
Nice.
Best bird chasing dog you've ever seen. It's called clearing airspace. Also, too, airplane, 30,000 feet. Guess what? You're getting barked at. Get out of my airspace.
Nice.
That's right. Be right back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Let's check out the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our Insta poll here. Our question for you is, should schools require students to wear masks for the upcoming school year? It's kind of been neck and neck between two of these, and one of those, 42% say for all students, and 47% say there should be no requirement, and then splitting it right down the middle, we've got 11% for all unvaccinated students, coming off of our poll yesterday where we asked about permission when it came to the COVID-19 vaccine for the kids going back to school. Today we turn our attention to, should schools have that requirement. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back right after this.
Coming up, Pittsburgh State University's president is stepping down, but he's not calling it retirement. And Joplin City Council approves contracts for a street widening project. Also, a task force in Missouri focuses on women's issues in the workforce.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Zach Dodge. Now we're going to go straight to Michael Hayslip once again for a look at the forecast.
Remember how those clouds got on us yesterday just around sunrise? Well, we actually got about 14 minutes till we have official sunrise over Joplin, but check this out, Zach. We are clear as can be over 7th and Rangeline and extremely comfortable once again. No complaints temperature-wise, considering it is July. Only 170 on the board, and that is in Parsons right now. 66 in Carthage, 68 in Miami, and let's go 68 as well in Pittsburgh. See the blue, that's the reflectivity picked up by the sweeping radar. If we were to eliminate that, there's nothing really hanging around. No clouds to worry about. Now, as far as our flood warnings go, yeah, we still do hang on to those for both the Neosho and the Osage, Little Osage, and the Marmonton. But it is getting a little bit better as far as the water having a chance to recede, as we'll stay on the dry side and keep all the precipitation through the United States down to the southeastern portion of the United States. And our wind tracker coming in from the northeast takes a little bite out of that July heat as well. So even with the sunshine, we're able to manage to stay in the mid to high 80s and don't have a whole lot of afternoon and evening pop-up showers to speak of either. And we're going to kind of carry that trend. Look at that. Everything just stays down to the south. So for a 7-day forecast, one thing we will be eyeballing, you knew it couldn't last forever. So the heat will eventually begin to reemerge as we head closer and closer to the weekend and what could be a steamy next week. So the fact that we're enjoying temperatures still in the 80s here at the latter third of July, let's take advantage of it this week.
Definitely. And we were kind of talking about sunscreen earlier. And I'd like to get on kind of a pedestal for a second.
Yes! A soapbox, if you will.
As I'm sure you'll agree.
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, no.
I'm finding my soapbox for.
Yeah?
Anyway, I'll bring my soapbox. You go.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
So I'm sure you'll agree, but sunblock, sun protection of any kind, basically pretty important regardless of how sunny it is, even if it is cloudy.
I want to reiterate what Zach said. UV rays do not care. You look up and you go, oh, it's cloudy, it'll block and prevent me from burning and, of course, skin cancer.
Yep.
Something that I don't know if you have a family history. I certainly do. And yeah, Zach brings up a great point. Whether it's sunny or whether it's cloudy, you get this time of year, UV rays will penetrate.
For sure.
Lotion up, folks.
Definitely.
Thank you for that reminder. That wasn't a soapbox. That was more of a PSA.
There you go. It's early in the morning, though, so words are kind of hard, as the viewers have seen already.
Words. Complete sentences.
Right. What's that? But thank you very much, Michael. Pittsburgh State University's president, Steve Scott, announces he'll step down from his position in June of next year. Scott has worked at PSU for the past 3 decades, including as president since 2009. In a press release, Scott says he's not retiring, telling the Kansas Board of Regents he's keeping his future options open. He does plan to stay in Pittsburgh and participate at university events. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Rangeline. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. Police found he had an arrest warrant out of Crawford County for a bond violation on an original charge of domestic battery. They are holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The victim in the case was later released from the hospital after receiving treatment. New COVID-19 cases continue in Southwest Missouri as health officials continue door-to-door efforts. A reporter with the Kansas City Star recently followed community health advocates in Springfield. They were going door-to-door encouraging COVID vaccinations. The advocates would tell them of an upcoming clinic, hand a door tag to the resident, and ask a handful of questions, according to the reporter. Questions included, do you want information about the clinic? Do you know someone who does? Do you have any questions about other clinics or the vaccines? The reporter says the effort they saw was non-confrontational, and the officials always took no for an answer. Governor Parson has raised concerns about a door-to-door situation. He joined Republicans worried that the outreach could be heavy-handed. The Joplin City Council finalized a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and approved another one on first reading. Earlier this month, Council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schiffer-Decker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They also approved on first reading a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project.
Some of those valleys were raising up 15 feet. So we're doing some spatial monitoring in the materials testing, make sure there's no settlement taking place over time.
That $520,000 is part of the $8.6 million. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, it will have to be approved again on second and third readings. A Missouri nonprofit is creating a task force to better understand issues surrounding women's participation in the workforce. The organization, called United We, will host town halls throughout the state until October. The first one was scheduled to be in Joplin today, but is now virtual due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area. United We's president and CEO says they're hosting these town halls all throughout Missouri to make sure all women in the state can be represented.
It'll be a report that's for all Missourians to read and to educate themselves on, here's what Missouri women are saying. It will also be a tool to educate policymakers, to educate them on, here's what we heard from Missouri women, and here are some potential solutions.
The town hall will take place virtually today, July 20th, and is open to all Missouri women. If interested, you can RSVP at unitedwe.com. The link will also be, of course, on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. It's 6:08.
Temperature is going to be in the high 80s today. Whole lot of sunshine. but not oppressively hot because our humidity will continue to drop throughout the afternoon. That will change though as we head toward the weekend with 90s, if not mid-90s, coming up Saturday through Monday.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, masking up in schools.
New mask guidance for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm Laura Podesta with what they're recommending as cases continue to rise nationwide.
Plus, the housing market is so hot and competitive that many buyers have decided to drop out of the search completely. And Prince Harry is writing a memoir about his life and the lessons that have shaped it. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. A tale of friendship on the rough streets of Los Angeles. More modern love is on the way.
And an unlikely duo reunites for its final performances. Nichelle Medina with our eye on entertainment.
She gets too hungry for dinner at 8.
I'm starving. Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett are reuniting one last time. The two are teaming up to celebrate Bennett's birthday with a 2-night concert. One last time, an evening with Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga on August 3rd and 5th. The shows will be held at Radio City Music Hall in New York and will mark Bennett's final performance. Earlier this year, he announced that he has Alzheimer's. Tickets go on sale Thursday. Three friends rely on each other to survive growing up in one of LA's roughest neighborhoods in the film Gully.
I always have the same dream. In it, there's 3 palm trees. Like 3 really tall friends. But then I'm alone.
Calvin, Nikki, and Jesse find their escape from an out-of-control night of partying, only to have to deal with the violent aftermath. Gully, starring Calvin Harrison Jr., Charlie Plummer, and Jacob Lattimore, is available on DVD today. And Love is in the Air again on Prime Video. Modern Love is returning for a 2nd season.
I truly hope you find happiness. Do you? Of course.
Inspired by the New York Times popular column Modern Love, this series explores love in all of its various forms with 8 true stories of relationships and romance. Modern Love Season 2 returns August 13th on Prime Video. That's your eye on entertainment. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I'm out. You can do Prince Harry. I want to talk about Halsey's baby. She's a tremendous artist. By the way, there's a wonderful biography written by her by Alex Morris in Rolling Stone. She refers to herself, I kid you not, you want to talk about a great story? She refers to herself as, I'm just a bleeped up kid who made it.
Nice.
That's pretty, no, that's it. Like it's a great story.
Oh, now we're going.
She's
to
tremendous. But no, you do Prince Harry. You
Okay.
love
We'll
Zach.
go ahead and
By the way,
go
folks,
on to
Zach
Prince
loves
Harry.
Prince Harry and royal stories.
For sure. I'll wait just a second. There we go. Prince Harry wants to tell his own life story. The Duke of Sussex is writing a memoir, which is scheduled to be released by Penguin Random House later next year.
Did you get your advance copy yet?
No. Officials there say Prince Harry will give, quote, the definitive account of the experiences, adventures, losses, and life lessons that have helped shape him. Penguin Random House also says proceeds from the book will be donated to charity. Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, caused a stir worldwide when they decided to break from the royal family and move to America. They live in California and signed a deal with Netflix last year, which included a scripted series, documentaries, and children's programming. That's it for our Eye on Entertainment. We'll be right back with Consumer Watch right after this. In Consumer Watch this morning, many buyers are abandoning their search for their dream home, citing low inventory, high demand, and increasing competition, all pushing them out of the market. In today's Consumer Watch, why one real estate expert says putting the idea on pause may be the way to go, but not for long.
I understand why there's multiple.
It's so hard to get a home right now that some buyers have simply given up.
They all just said, you know what, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. This is too hard. I'm going to check out.
Northern California real estate agent and investor David Green blames burnout. This spring, the housing market was on fire. Soaring demand increased competition, and prospective home buyers confronted all cash offers they couldn't match.
The past 3 months, the market's been so hot you couldn't touch it. If you try to buy a house at all, you got outbid by 20 people. They've been chasing homes, trying to buy one, going through the emotional gauntlet of trying to buy a house, and they've decided that they've had enough.
There's also been record low inventory of available properties, which raised home prices to unprecedented highs. Adding to that, low mortgage rates motivating more buyers to bid on those few homes on the market. Green says he's telling some clients to put their search on ice, but not for long.
I'm telling them to slow down and wait until wintertime when there's less competition, and at least we can get an idea of what they have to pay for that house so they can make an educated decision.
In May, home sales fell for the fourth month in a row, according to a recent report from the National Association of Realtors. Part of the reason is there aren't enough homes to buy, but competition and higher prices are also turning off buyers who can't afford to compete.
There's not a lot of houses out there. Even though the market's hot, it's probably going to get hotter.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
Folks continue to flock to buy cars.
That one, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's like birds are buying cars now. Automation CEO says he thinks the demand for cars will remain high well into next year. While many people stayed at home during the peak months of the pandemic last year, people also took advantage of low interest rates and many bought cars. I bought a new truck myself, so I believe it. The CEO noted some people are buying their cars and trucks before they even arrive on the lots. The current surge in demand, coupled with the ongoing chip shortage, has led to a spike in prices. Used car prices increased more than 10% last month. And I'm really excited about this one. Bring on the dough. Nestle announced 2 new flavors of cookie dough, PB&J and cinnamon roll. The PB&J dough is peanut butter dough with chunks of strawberry jam for the J, I guess, okay. And the packs are pre-cut into 20 cookies. The cinnamon roll cookies feature cinnamon sugar cookie dough with cream cheese bits, and each pack is rolled up so it's easy to cut. Lastly, the company brought back its classic pumpkin spice pre-cut cookie dough. You can grab all of those goodies starting in August. That's it for Consumer Watch. Now let's toss it over to Michael with our look at the forecast, as long as he doesn't leave the studio again.
No. What kind of truck did you get?
Say again?
What kind of truck did you get?
Oh, F-150. See,
we're going to play a little game today.
Yeah.
He's been with us for almost a straight week now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the game Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Who in the world is Zach Dodge? What color is it?
Blue.
Blue. Do you like it?
Yes, we like it a lot. It's really nice.
Good. Wife signed off on this?
Oh yeah. Yep, she was there when we got it. It was one of those kind of necessary things because we crashed our car, hit a deer, and it completely totaled it, so we had to get a new vehicle.
What?
Yeah, it was really bad. It was bad.
Such a hate
I'm just going to make
right
everything
there.
really dark.
Go to break. I blew that one. Go to break.
Win-win.
Topping Health Watch this morning, there's new guidance from a major pediatrics association on whether kids should wear masks when school starts back up. It comes as the highly contagious Delta variant is causing cases and hospitalizations to skyrocket, especially among the unvaccinated. CBS's Laura Podesta has more.
With school starting soon, time is running out for children 12 and older to get vaccinated and be fully protected against COVID-19.
You need to have your first dose, and then your second dose is 21 days later. And then generally what's considered fully vaccinated is 2 weeks past that.
Dr. Sean O'Leary of Children's Hospital Colorado says younger children should wear a mask.
This Delta variant, it is much more contagious than what we saw circulating last fall.
New guidance from the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that masks be worn in schools by everyone 2 years of age or older, even if fully vaccinated.
COVID is not gone. COVID is here, and COVID is going to stay with us for a long period of time.
Health experts point out that fully vaccinated people, even those who get a breakthrough COVID case, are rarely ending up in the hospital.
But what we're seeing is the person that got vaccinated is home with mild illness, and other family members that are not vaccinated are in the hospital potentially with more severe illness or even in the intensive care unit.
In North Dakota, where fewer than half of adults are fully vaccinated, 40% of hospitalizations are people between the ages of 18 and 49.
Because the older folks are protected, the cases that you see and the deaths that you see are going to be in that younger, healthier age group just because they're not vaccinated.
A CBS News YouGov poll found among those unvaccinated, 74% say they will not get immunized, even if their own doctor recommends the vaccine. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
That poll also found over the last month an increasing number of unvaccinated adults are worried about the side effects, don't trust the government, and don't trust the science. The U.S. government is spending about $29 million to breed more monkeys in order to aid biomedical research, according to a new report. The monkeys would be used in testing coronavirus vaccines and in other infectious disease research. Monkeys were in short supply during the coronavirus pandemic. National primate research centers in the U.S. most commonly use rhesus macaques due to similar biological links to humans. If you think your bed is comfy and cozy, other creatures of the night you don't want probably agree and are cuddled down with you. What? Medical microbiology expert Manal Mohammed at the University of Westminster says in a new paper that your bed is the perfect lab experiment for growing bacteria, fungi, viruses, and microscopic bugs. Mohammed says bacteria like that one and E. coli can make their way into a normal bed, and humans shed about 500 million skin cells a night, making a feeding ground for dust mites. The report recommends you wash your linens at least every 2 weeks and dry on high temperatures at 131 degrees or above, and get rid of your bed after 10 years. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Right.
Now I cannot sleep in my bed ever again.
Right. You make me want to feel comfortable now every time that I lay my head down. That's an excellent way to end that. I really thought you would throw a little Dracula at me, and I was hoping you would call them creatures of the night.
Oh, yeah, no.
Also, to harken back to your rhesus monkey story,
Mm-hmm.
You know the first thing that went through my head?
No, I don't know.
Brad Pitt. Springfield, Missouri native Brad Pitt.
Oh.
12 monkeys.
Yeah.
Let's forget my psychiatrist, Jim, and concentrate at the task at hand. That's temperatures in the mid to high 80s today with a whole bunch of sunshine. That's why Zach and I are having fun. It's enjoyable. Wackos everywhere. It's a plague of madness. We'll be right back.
Coming up, Pittsburgh State University's president is stepping down, but he's not calling it retirement. And Joplin City Council approves contracts for a street widening project. Also, a task force in Missouri focuses on women's issues in the workforce.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Zach Dodge, and Michael Hayslip are having maybe a little bit too much fun this morning.
No such thing. No such thing. Though, on a serious note, I do want to reiterate something that you brought up earlier that is probably near and dear to a number of people's hearts, and that's to not forget your sunscreen.
Definitely.
And whether it be a cloudy day, like what we had yesterday morning, or whether you get a beautiful shot like this over 7th and Rangeline, where we see the sun just peeking through a little tree right there. And so it's off to a gorgeous start and a very mild start as well. Still only 170 on the board, and that's in Parsons. Everyone else hanging around the mid-60s, as we see 66 in Lamar and Carthage, 67 in Miami, and 68 right now in Pittsburgh. That blue that you see, simply reflectivity picked up from the sweeping radar. If we eliminate that, we are clear to go. Got to drop down to the actually southern portion of the United States to find any bit of rain still hanging on. Now, we do have a little northeasterly breeze that's coming in, just 5 to 10 miles per hour. But I tell you what, anytime you get that during the afternoon, when you get July sunshine, it does make quite a difference, as we'll only be in the mid to high 80s today. Probably going to escape that 90-degree range with all the rain continuing to hang down to the south. So even when we get into our peak heating hours of the afternoon and evening, not going to have to worry about it. And then tomorrow morning, right back in to the 70s. You can see all that rain goes from about Texas all the way to the mid-Atlantic. The 7-day forecast does have us warming up, but Zach, we're able to really escape consistently being in the 90s. And so we get from about Friday into Monday. Now, next week's going to be a little bit of a scorcher right there, because not only are we going to be in the 90s, but you kick in those rain chances, that also means it's going to be humid. So let's take advantage of really the next 48 hours and 2 delightful July days.
Definitely. But thank you very much, Michael.
You go back to having a good time now.
Yeah. Say again?
I said you can go back to having a good time now.
Oh, yeah, cool. Thanks. All right.
I'll be here if you need me.
Sweet.
I got
I'm gonna read this next story now.
What's up, Dr. Scott?
Pittsburgh State University's president, Steve Scott, announces he will step down from his position in June of next year. Scott has worked at PSU for the past 3 decades, including as president since 2009. In a press release, Scott says he's not retiring, telling the Kansas Board of Regents he's keeping his future options open. He does plan to stay in Pittsburgh and participate at university events. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says the state is suing the U.S. Department of the Interior over a dispute concerning coal mining on tribal reservations. The U.S. Department of the Interior notified the state earlier this year it planned to strip Oklahoma of its jurisdiction to regulate surface coal mining within the Muskogee Nation Reservation. Stitt claims the move is federal overreach. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance camera robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Rangeline. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. Police found he had an arrest warrant out of Crawford County for a bond violation on an original charge of domestic battery. They're holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The victim in the case was later released from the hospital after receiving treatment. The Joplin City Council finalized a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and approved another one on first reading. Earlier this month, Council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They also approved on first reading a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project.
Some of those valleys were raising up 15 feet. So we're doing some spatial monitoring in the materials testing, make sure there's no settlement taking place over time.
That $520,000 is part of the $8.6 million. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, it will have to be approved again on second and third readings. A Missouri nonprofit is creating a task force to better understand issues surrounding women's participation in the workforce. The organization, called United We, will host town halls throughout the state until October. The first one was scheduled to be in person in Joplin today, but is now virtual due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area. United We's president and CEO says they're hosting these town halls all throughout Missouri to make sure all women in the state can be represented.
It'll be a report that's for all Missourians to read and to educate themselves on, here's what Missouri women are saying. It will also be a tool to educate policymakers, to educate them on, here's what we heard from Missouri women, and here are some potential solutions.
The town hall will take place virtually today, July 20th, and is open to all Missouri women. If you're interested, you can RSVP at unitedwe.org. That link will also be on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, an out-of-this-world milestone.
We're in the final countdown to another billionaire launching into space. I'm Laura Podesta with what we can expect later this morning when Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos goes up in his rocket, Blue Origin.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About, we're asking, should schools require students wear masks for the upcoming school year? We let you weigh in. But first, it's 6:38.
Sunny, dry, and warm for our Tuesday as our temperatures will be up into the high 80s later on this afternoon. Overnight, it's going to be absolutely delightful. Little wind shift, though, is an indicator of a warming trend, but don't worry about the 90s till we get to the weekend. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Frozen.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, we're in the final countdown before another billionaire launches into space. The founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, spoke to CBS News about how he'll be feeling when he soars above the Earth later this morning. Laura Podesta reports.
The world's wealthiest person is about to leave this world. Today, Jeff Bezos will blast off aboard his rocket, Blue Origin. The ride will last roughly 10 minutes. After launch and separation, Bezos and the 3 others aboard will reach roughly 66 miles above Earth, float in microgravity for a few minutes before parachutes and thruster rockets land the capsule back in the desert of West Texas. Everything is automated. Bezos told Gayle King on CBS This Morning he's not nervous.
How is that possible, Jeff? I'm sitting here in New York and I'm nervous. How are you not nervous?
None of us are nervous.
No, we're excited. We've been training. This vehicle is ready. This crew is ready. This team is amazing. We just feel really good about it.
I am super excited to go to space and joining them on the flight. I've been dreaming about this all my life. Now I'll become the youngest astronaut ever because I'm 18 years old.
Oliver Damon is also paying to be aboard Blue Origin. He won his seat in an auction. That makes him the company's first space tourist. Also riding today, Bezos' brother Mark and 82-year-old aviation pioneer Wally Funk, who will become the oldest person to go into space.
We set out to create the safest human spaceflight vehicle ever designed or built or operated, and we think we have succeeded.
Bezos may have been beat to space a few days ago by fellow billionaire Richard Branson, but the Amazon founder's rocket is set to fly a bit higher. That target of 66 miles above Earth would surpass Branson's approximate 53-mile ascent. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Today, July 20th, is the 52nd anniversary of the lunar landing in 1969. Bezos says his love of space history is the reason why this date was chosen for the launch. A Florida man was sentenced to 8 months in prison for his role in the attack on Capitol Hill. Paul Hodgkins was among the group that breached the Senate chambers on January 6th. The 38-year-old is the first Capitol suspect charged with a felony to be sentenced. His punishment could set the bar for others. COVID-19 is once again surging in the U.S. for the first time since January. All 50 states are reporting rising infection rates. Experts say most hospitalizations and deaths now involve people who have not been vaccinated. That's a look at today's top national stories. Now let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Zach. The American Academy of Pediatrics wants everyone over the age of 2 to be masked up this upcoming school year. Professional Association recommends in-person classes with a universal masking policy. The AAP saying it would be safer and more effective than schools monitoring and enforcing rules for only the non-vaccinated. Federal government has approved the COVID-19 vaccine for children 12 and under. Now the AAP recommends anyone eligible should go get a shot. But our question for you is, should schools require students to wear masks for the upcoming school year? And it's been neck and neck all morning long. 46% say all students should wear masks, and 43% say there should be no requirement whatsoever. Split right down the middle, yet bringing up a distant third, 11% say masking for unvaccinated students only. Of course, you can make your voice heard each and every morning. You can go to our KOAM News Now Facebook page, or you can go directly to our Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Senior Master Sergeant Clarence Schoenweather Jr., who served in the United States Air Force from 1953 to 1969 in Korea and Vietnam. His hometown, Richards, Missouri. We're proud to salute Clarence Schoenweather Jr., our four-state hero. And yeah, get this, Michael, it is also Mr. Schoenweather's birthday today. He's turning 92 years old and lives in, as we just mentioned, Richards, Missouri. So happy birthday, Mr. Schoenweather, and thank you for your service.
Okay, so let me do the mental math here. 29, he would have been 40 years old when Apollo landed on the moon.
Really?
Isn't that something else?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mr.
Cool.
Mr. Schoenweather. That is great. I love it when we can combine the heroes and the birthdays right there. Ethan Jesse. Man, how are you 4 already, big boy? A very happy birthday to Ethan as he celebrates in Crestline.
And a very happy birthday to Landry Morey, turning 5 years old in Lamar.
Now get
really
this.
Exciting day there.
Well, it even gets more exciting.
Oh yeah.
Because tomorrow we've got Kyle Morey's birthday right there in the middle. So Landry has his birthday. Landry has her birthday today, and then right after that, Dad celebrates his 35th. So Landry and Kyle, a very happy birthday to both of you.
And a very happy birthday to Lainey Miller.
Oh, I love the balloons.
16, sweet 16 in Girard. Well, actually, she's been 16 for a few days now.
It's all right.
Her birthday, it was on Sunday.
No, you turn 16, we'll carry it a week.
You get the whole week.
That's right.
Just keep on submitting it, and we'll keep on reading it every day this week.
In the words of a wise woman, birthday week. John Emerson is celebrating a 22nd birthday. John, a very happy birthday to you. John's in Fort Scott.
And a very happy birthday to Jimmy Zwallen, turning 37 in Oswego.
And Noel, Tabitha Pickles, she's celebrating her 42nd birthday. Tabitha, have a wonderful, wonderful birthday.
And a very happy birthday to Alan Grimmett, turning 52 in Parsons. And thank you very much for what you do, since he works as a paramedic at Labette Health.
Deanna Loffmiller celebrating her 70th birthday. Deanna, she is in Pittsburgh. Great picture right there.
Yeah. And a very happy birthday to Daryl Morrison, turning 80 years old in Lamar.
If I looked at Mr. Morrison right there, not 80. He doesn't look 80.
He does. He looks really good for 80. So.
Happy birthday, Daryl.
Happy birthday.
Diana Blackburn, you can see her on the left right there. Diana, a happy birthday to you. She is in Oswego.
And a very happy birthday to Barbara Beard, turning 67 today in Columbus.
Roger Williams, he celebrated a birthday over the weekend, but like we said, just with Lainey's birthday, we're going to go birthday week with Roger.
Oh yeah.
And we'll carry it all the way through. Roger, happy birthday.
And a very happy birthday to Zoe Carrier in Baxter Springs.
Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's Zach Dodge with a very important birthday announcement.
You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. You can get special deals from local businesses as well. So go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
There's Sunrise. This is how you embarrass your little sister. Because it is July 20th. And that woman right there on the left, that is one Erica Berry. Rick, you know I absolutely love and adore you. I'm not going to give her age because it would give mine away since I just called her my little sister. But yeah, July 20th, the celebration day in the Hayslip household. And that's her husband Ryan there on the right. As we take a live look from 7th and Rangeline, where currently it's been 67 degrees for just about the entire show. Our temperatures ranging anywhere from, we've got a couple low 60s on there, 63 in Monette, but now Neota Shea chiming in along with Parsons and making it up to 70, and give it about an hour or so and everybody's going to be sitting in that 70-degree range. Warm and dry on this Tuesday, and temperatures just a little bit below normal for this time of year. Will be around 87, 88 degrees. Nice thing is the humidity won't play too much of a large role in our afternoon heat indices. And then as we push toward the weekend, then the heat wave emerges. So take advantage of the next couple of days if you want to spend some serious time outside without having to worry about melting. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The world's richest man is slated to leave the planet this morning. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos will ride an unpiloted rocket to the edge of space along with his brother and 2 others. They're scheduled to blast off from a launch pad in West Texas at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Police arrest a man after a stabbing in Pittsburgh. It happened Sunday in the 400 block of West 6th Street. Authorities say a 40-year-old man suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and abdomen. After investigating, they identified 50-year-old Jose Flores Velez as a suspect and arrested him later on Sunday. They're holding him without bond and requesting a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Authorities are looking for a person caught on surveillance robbing a Joplin bank with a weapon. Police say it happened Monday afternoon at the Great Southern Bank at 1232 South Rangeline. According to police, the robber entered the bank, demanded money while displaying a weapon, then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Joplin Police Department and the FBI are investigating. Great Southern Bank is offering a $3,500 reward for the identity, arrest, and conviction of the robber. The Joplin City Council finalizes a contract for the 32nd Street widening project and another one on first reading. Earlier this month, Council started the approval process for an $8.6 million contract to fund the widening project from Schifferdecker to Central City Road. Yesterday, they finalized that agreement with Emery Sapp & Sons, Inc. They also approved on first reading a $520,000 contract for construction phase engineering services for the project. Since this was only the first reading for the new contract, though, it'll have to be approved again on second and third readings. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And for our Tuesday, and luckily not too hot, we'll be in the high 80s, but the humidity is going to drop pretty substantially here for the afternoon, so we won't have a large difference between the temperature and what it actually feels like outside. And that's thanks in part not only to the humidity, but also just a little light northeasterly breeze coming in at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, mostly clear skies, a little bit of a wind shift, and that's an indicator when that wind begins to shift out from the northeast to the east that we're going to begin to warm up. We're going to stay on the dry side here for a couple of days, which is very beneficial to our flood warnings that still exist for the Neosho, Osage, Little Osage, and Marmaton rivers. And then by the time we get into the weekend, that's a good old-fashioned July heat wave we're talking about. Is we're going to go from 90 up to 95. And the big factor over the weekend and to begin next week will be the final increase of humidity that really we've been kind of lucky with lately. We've been skirting out of the way as far as some oppressive July heat so far.
Definitely. And yeah, coming up today at noon, we'll have buttery biscuits in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And I think we should do something about the 52nd anniversary of the moon landing.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I'll have to see if
that's
I can
just
find
one.
something,
I'm looking at our other producer. That's just one dude's opinion. He's nodding in agreement. He's the genius.
Yep.
He's the genius.
Hey,
I always
defer
to him.
For sure.
All right, I want you to have a great, safe Thursday. Get out and enjoy some fresh air. Like I said, it's not going to be oppressively hot, but do me a big favor. Be safe. And we'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
All Denny's pancakes are made to